stand start trial, just the two in it, and they're underway, and stepping the best of the pair was Jack and Flight. So it pinged out to what is a pretty comfortable lead early on, but they're just the two in it. Jack and Flight, it leads out from Our White Knight, and they've got 2 laps to go on this 2,240 metre stand. The Brett Cargill pair of Jack and Flight and Our White Knight, and that's the order that they hold as they swing out of the straight. They have about 1,800 metres to go in this last of 4 trials. Just a lighter day here on this Tuesday at Melton, and Jack and Flight turns into the back, and it's a 5 metre leader with Our White Knight now getting a little bit closer to it after not being as well away from the stand. So Rod Petroff in the sulky on Jack and Flight, and settles now with that sulky's length. Our White Knight's just going to follow it around, you'd think, for a fair while yet. So they're making their way inside the 1,600 metres. Lead time of 54.2. 54.2, and that's from the standing start. And heading off the back stretch, Jack and Flight, who was clearly the best of the two that from the tapes, and held what was probably a 10 metre lead at the winning post the first time. That margin's been abbreviated back to 6 metres, but as you can imagine, they're going just at an average tempo. But they're the two, Jack and Flight and Our White Knight, as they swing their way into the straight. They're heading towards the 1,200 metres now. Lead time 54.2, and the first quarter in 31.4. So really, it's not a bad tempo, but on this beautiful day, conditions are perfect. It's not taking a whole lot of effort for them to run reasonable time. The horses are looking pretty good, the both of them in the coat. Jack and Flight and Our White Knight. They turn into their final circuit. The stablemates, they've got 900 metres left to travel, and Jack and Flight sits a length and a half in front of Our White Knight. They're approaching the 800 metres. Their first quarter was 31.4, and the second split was 31.2. So they've gone marginally quicker again, and that's the first half of the last mile in 62.6, and heading along the back straight, again going at a pretty good clip, but they're good quality paces, and the leader is Jack and Flight. So it's a 6 metre lead on Our White Knight as they make their way off the back straight. They have about 500 metres left to travel, and it's Jack and Flight. Margin's 5 metres. Our White Knight sticking right in behind it. They're into the final quarter of the mile. 29.1 was the third quarter. So the last mile of this race will be run at a pretty good tempo. And Jack and Flight comes around the final turn with Our White Knight now swinging to the outside, about a length off him. Into the stretch they sprint now. They've got less than 200 to go. And it's Jack and Flight still 3 metres in front of Our White Knight. They've got 100 to run. Jack and Flight is just holding Our White Knight, and they get to the line, both of them looking pretty good, with Jack and Flight winning by about 2.5 metres over Our White Knight, and they've sizzled their last quarter in 27.2. Last half was 56.5, the last mile in 159.2. So some pretty good splits. It can be pretty difficult sometimes when there's just the two in it, but the stablemates have worked off each other, and they run some pretty good times. Was a stand though, it was a standing start, so the overall time was 2:53.4, mile rate of 2:4.5, the last mile in 1:59.2, and the last half mile was 56.5, 56.5. 2 Jack and Flight the winner, 1 Our White Knight second, last mile 1:59.2, last half mile 56.5, margins 2.5 metres, or the margin 2.5 metres.